Okay. Anyway, I want to come on here and do this. If you I'm at my uncle's apartment. If you hear that noise in the background, it's the vent on the lower floor. On the lower floor. But wanted to get into this because I talked about this in my community post, and I just wanted to get this out the way. Also doing this because I'm supposed to. And hold on. Okay, yeah, whatever. Anyway, want to get into this. This might be short. This might be long. Don't know. But if it is long, come back, take a break, or do whatever and whatnot. And you can also, if you type the screw on the video, you can basically speed watch this. So, getting this out the way, because God also has been giving me a lot of stuff. So I want to sit here and if I look down on something, I'm looking down at this paper. But basically, want to get this out the way and talk about how superpowers and all this other stuff is coming. But before I do all this, I want to get this out of the way because I've been posting some stuff that I haven't been emphasizing on. That I'll just get out the way, and I'm not going to really make another video about. Basically, I posted the creature in Thailand, the giant snake, to basically inform people that basically the old gods, as HB calls it, are real. That giant snake, the Nagas, or whatever you want to call them, serpent creatures, whatever you want to call them, they're real. I want to emphasize on a lot of stuff that I've been finding. I've been finding on Instagram because they're on the verge of banning TikTok and all this other stuff. So I've been wanting to get that out the way. That, and also you should be questioning why these people, with everything that's going on, a call for an uprising talked about this, but he's completely banned off of YouTube. With all the stuff that's going on now, why these people want to sit here and randomly just want to come out and say on the news, out of all places in Australia, and say that we can make electricity out of thin air, which is, I wouldn't sit here and say it's impossible because Nikola Tesla did that, which is where they stole it from. But with everything going on with this radiation, and I can't really say a certain letter and a certain phrase here on YouTube because I might get banned or whatever the case it is. But it starts after the letter F. Let's go with that. And basically, they no longer have 5, because at first they had 5, but now they have 6, which is also in China. But now apparently they have 10, which is very concerning, which no one talked about, and it's already been established in court that 5 can kill you. 5 can basically go through your. I'm not going to sit here and explain radiation, but 4 can go through trees and stuff. 5 can penetrate your house and basically penetrate the buildings, walls, all that other stuff. So I want to talk about that, and you should be questioning why these people are coming out and saying that we can make electricity out of thin air once again, because with the radiation they want to pull. Want to sit here and talk about this video. I'm going to do this in another video, but I also just want to put this out there. I recently discovered, I was on this channel, like I should have just made this strictly just like for whatever, but since this is my main channel, basically I was listening to booktubers, and they were doing a review, and I was listening because I read horror books and whatnot, and I write horror. I'm working on one right now, actually 2 of them, and I write horror and dark fantasy. But the point is that basically this booktuber sat there and said something about Joe Hill. Joe Hill is the son. It's his pen name, not his real name. It's the pen name of basically the son of Stephen King. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about Stephen King, and that guy's a piece of trash. But point is that Joe Hill has a book called The Fireman, and The Fireman is a reference to like the Wicker Man, where they do satanic rituals, light people on fire, whatever. But point is that it's about a plague. I'm not going to sit here and say demic, but it's a plague that basically causes people to spontaneously combust, and they turn into like raving zombies or something. And want to sit here and mention that because that's what's going on. And this book came out in 2016 or 17. I think it's like almost 1,000 pages, which I'm not doing that. Nah, I'm not doing that. But want to emphasize on that because that also is a real case, in which case that has actually happened in real life. And that actually happened a couple years ago. I can't really find the videos here on YouTube and whatnot. And so, want to mention that. And so now, since we're already 5 minutes in, I want to get into this. Hold on. Okay. All right. So, okay. All right. So this is about the abilities of the 144,000. And obviously, you know, superpowers and all this other stuff is coming. I said in my community post how basically an angel told me, which is a messenger from God, told me that basically if you use your powers, if God is telling you that you are going to have powers during the shift change and what's about to happen with this whole zombie thing, I'm telling you this now, 144 or not, if you've ever had dreams of using your powers in your dreams, basically that's a real thing, and you've basically used them how you use them in life, how you would use them in real life. So I want to go down all this. I actually have a lot, almost like 2 pages. But this is everything that God has shown me and everything that God has given me. And so basically, I'm going to go through all this, and then I'm going to explain all of this later, which is why this might be long. So the 144,000 can do teleportation, super speed, super strength, have super durability, super intelligence, can speak multiple languages, which that goes into also super intelligence. If you ever watch anything like anything with superheroes and stuff, can resurrect the dead, can shapeshift, can also manifest. I'll talk about that later, which is why I said I'll read this and then go about this later. Are skilled in combat, can give powers and take away powers. They can also absorb powers, as in store powers in their body. They're skilled in leadership. They can change their size, and that includes turning into a giant, and that also includes shrinking themselves, like Ant-Man from Marvel. He can also turn into a giant, and also he can shrink himself. They can, I'll talk about this later. This is specifically with me, but can do stuff. And when I say shapeshift, they can shapeshift their body into anything they want, like weapons and stuff. So basically, if you wanted a gun, there's this anime I like called Cyborg 009. One of the cyborgs basically has, which I thought was cool, he can turn, his hand is a gun. I'll post it in my community post. His hand is a gun, and he shoots bullets out of his hand. Can do stuff like that. Can this is stuff. Some of this stuff is God has given me, but can turn their arm into a chainsaw and have insects. Basically, God gave me that. Basically, there's this anime called Chainsaw Man, where he has one of his hands is a chainsaw, and the insect part is basically this Mortal Kombat I played, which I don't really play it anymore. It's this character called Devora, how she can make insects come out of her hand. And there's also a Naruto character, I forgot his name, but he can make insects come out of his body, stuff like that. And so can do that, and can breathe underwater for long periods of time, like Aquaman. Can freeze water, can control the 4 elements like Avatar: The Last Airbender, can control animals, can control the weather, can absorb powers and give them to people, which I already said that. The 144,000 can and will be able to fight giants. The 144,000, I'm going to talk about this again later, have doppelgangers that they are going to have to kill, which that's another story. They're on the Men in Black list, which that's another story. They can do like Dragon Ball Z features like superhuman strength, super speed. They can do stuff that Dragon Ball Z characters can do. Let's go with that. I already said powers, can absorb powers, can absorb colors. Got that in a dream that I had. I don't know, it was like It was a recurring dream that I had. Can stop missiles with their bare hands. Can stop bombs, missiles, you name it. And I said are skilled in combat like martial arts and can go toe to toe with the Antichrist and damage him should he try and kidnap them, which God showed me that basically that will most likely happen. Even though they can't really touch the 144,000, it doesn't mean that these people, devils and the Antichrist, won't make an attempt to go with that. And when I say go toe to toe with the Antichrist, even the only person that can defeat the Antichrist is Jesus. And even though that is the case, you'll still be able to fight the Antichrist toe to toe in like terms of combat, or if he ever tries to touch you or do harm to you or anything. But the only person that can kill him basically is Jesus. So don't want to sit there and confuse people on that and whatnot, because that's one thing I'm not going to do. So hold on. And basically, Mother of God, and basically they'll have the ability to control nature. They'll basically have the ability to connect with alternate versions of themselves. They can do Spider-Man like features like web sling. They can duplicate themselves. They have heat vision. Some of this stuff is that God gave me, but which I'm putting on this note. Ability to control drawings. There's a character, Mother of God, excuse me. There's a character, it pops up, it very rarely pops up, but they have, but there's a character on Naruto called Sai, S-A-I, and basically he has the ability to, anything he draws comes to life. It's like part of his genjutsu or whatever the case is. So stuff like that. They'll be able to duplicate themselves. They'll have the ability to explode themselves and turn into... Okay, yeah, that goes into that Cyber 009 stuff. But they have the ability to basically blow themselves up. And when I say blow themselves up, I gotta post like a lot of links to this stuff in my community post. But basically, I'm trying to think of a character. Actually, there is a character. There's a character on The Boys recently, Soldier Boy, even though it's completely different from the comic book version, where basically Soldier Boy in the recent season of The Boys on Amazon Prime, he has the ability to give powers, take them away, and he also has the ability to explode. And like in the very beginning of the first few couple episodes of The Boys, Soldier Boy has it where he has like PTSD and he basically explodes. And he blows up stuff around him. So he's basically like a nuclear bomb. And so basically, it's something, I'll post a clip to it and everything, all the stuff that I'm talking about and references, which is going to be a lot of time consuming stuff. But basically it gets to the point in the show where he can, in the beginning episodes of the show, when he's trying to figure himself out, because he's a soldier that fought in like the old times and whatnot, every time he gets like PTSD or something, he starts freaking out, he explodes, but then a city goes with him. And it's hard to explain, and I'll post like the link in the comment section, but you'll be able to do stuff like that, but on a massive scale. So there's that. Can be invisible, can open portals, can walk through portals, can control time, and basically defy the laws of physics, can control poison, can basically control poison, and I'll explain all that later. Can fight in their dreams. So basically, if you were to go to sleep, you would be able to defend yourself in your dreams, because, you know, that would be the most vulnerable time when you're asleep. So that can stop bullets with their fingers, can grow limbs after detaching them and beating you with it, which I'll explain that later. Can also control drawings and stuff, as I explained earlier. with that whole Naruto thing, that character that can draw stuff and then he can make them come to life, and you can also talk to them. And I've also talked about, like, I love cartoons, animation, all this other stuff, but you can also travel to cartoon dimensions. You can talk to them, and yeah, literally, and you can control them too. God showed me that personally with me in my life. You can bring people from their world to another world, which basically gets into like teleportation and stuff, but you'll be able, that'll be a thing. Can basically imitate anything they see and basically do it, and that gets into like superhuman intelligence. So basically, if you see something, I don't know, if you see something basically if you see something basically that you see in a cartoon or anime or whatever the case it is, basically you'll be able to do that. Because I mean, basically, I don't know how the levels work, but depending on what level you're at, you'll basically be able to do anything, and you can just put whatever put your mind to whatever you want to do. And then there's also this, because I also got this in my dreams a couple of times. Ghost Rider has a thing called basically the penance stare. The penance stare basically is where basically he looks you in the eyes and he judges you and he basically sends you to hell. That's mainly personally for me, but because I've actually done that before in my dreams, and which is like years ago. But that'll be a thing. The 144,000 will be able to judge people and basically send them to hell. There you go. I couldn't sit there and tell you if it's on a Ghost Rider level, but I just wanted to sit there and throw that out there. So where am I about to start with all of this? Oh my god. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, here we go. So, and this gets into like a lot of dreams and visions and stuff. So when I sit here and I talk about, because I'm backing this up. So basically, when it comes to teleportation, the 144,000 will be the only group of people that can travel. That will be the only group of people that can travel to different dimensions. This includes another dimension where you meet an alternate version of yourself, who probably, well, actually, I'm not going to say who probably, but most likely will have superpowers. I don't know how that works, but from the stuff that I've been getting and the stuff I've been going through, that's going to be a real possibility. And God has also sat here and told me, even though this is about the 144,000 and their abilities and stuff, God has told me specifically, God has told me that you are basically at some point when things pop off or whatever period, you are going to have to go against yourself. And I have like 2 videos that are, I think, like almost 2 hours long, which I'll put in my community post. But from the gist of it, explaining this while staying on topic, basically it'll get to a point where if there's an evil version of yourself, you are going to have to defeat that version of yourself in either their timeline or in this timeline or on the new earth. I don't know how that new earth thing is going to work, even though God's splitting the earth in half, but that's what you're going to have to do. Because what has also been brought to my attention, and I got to talk about this in another video, is that basically since our world is ending, and thank God I'm a comic book nerd, which, that's not on purpose, that's not on accident either, which isn't an accident. In terms of basically, what in the world? Anyway, in terms of basically, mother of God, I lost my train of thought because my phone vibrated. In terms of, in terms of the world ending, there we go. In terms of the world ending, there's a show called Crisis on, it's both a comic book and a TV show. It's called Crisis on Infinite Earths. And basically, to sum this up, the comic book version is better because the TV show, it sucks, but whatever. Basically, in both interpretations of the comic book Crisis on Infinite Earths, when the world is ending, they have villains and all this other stuff. When the world is ending, multiple worlds are ending at the same time. And that is basically where we're at right now. And you can sit here and talk about time and all this other stuff, but in terms of the multiverse, what God showed me, that when our world ends, there will be multiple worlds that will be ending at the same time. if that makes sense. So Jesus won't just be coming back on this world. He'll be coming back in another world too, where also heaven and hell are also different and whatnot. Which there's a quote in the Bible that says, you know, there are multiple heavens. Um, I think it's somewhere in the Bible where it talks about multiple heavens and stuff. So there you go. But at a certain point, with dimensions merging and worlds colliding and all this other stuff, when I've talked about this stuff, merging with another version of yourself, if you're not merging with another version of yourself, eventually you're gonna meet yourself, which I don't know how that works, but it's going to happen. And when the whole superpower thing pops off, you're going to have to basically destroy another version of yourself, because God has also shown me multiple times that there are versions of me. I think there's like 10 of them that are basically pure evil. They're trash. I'm not going to sit here and say my personal mind because I'm not trying to cuss in my own video, but they're absolute trash. So there's that, and that's what I mean about the whole teleportation thing. And then obviously, if you can go to heaven, if the 144,000 can teleport, they can, in this world, and they can go to heaven in this dimension, they can also teleport to another dimension and go to heaven where God is, where heaven is like different and whatnot. So if that makes a lick of sense, because this multiverse crap, as much as I can explain this multiverse crap is just as confusing. So there's that. Super speed, in terms, I've said something about basically being able to catch a bullet with your hand. Basically, a bullet is, I'm not a scientist, but a bullet is real fast if you've ever shot a gun. So basically, you have super speed. You basically are as fast as the Flash or as Quicksilver, how they show on TV, and you're basically faster than the speed of light. And that also depends on the level of the person in the 144,000. For me specifically, I'm not boasting in this video, and nor am I trying to put everything on me in this video, but this is everything that God has shown me specifically. But in terms of how fast a person is, it really depends on who that person is, whether they're 144,000 or not. So, and that also depends if they've had training and all this other stuff. Super strength, basically, I would assume, basically, since God has shown me that basically the 144,000 are going to have to fight giants. I would assume, I don't know how much a giant weighs, because they're as big as mountains and stuff, but the super strength is up there. I'm assuming you can basically hold a building with your bare hands, and then you also can stop a rocket, which I have no idea how much a rocket weighs, but there you go. Super durability, basically super durability. You're durable with anything. Superman is a great example for this. Superman is durable in combat and everything. So if somebody tries to sit there and shoot a bullet at you, basically it comes off your chest and it's what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't harm you. It's like like a fly touching your skin or something. Super intelligence, that also gets into with super intelligence, basically. That goes into basically speaking different languages. You're more advanced than the average human being. You're advanced in a lot of things. Like basically, if you're stranded in the middle of nowhere, you can build something. You know, you can be a master in martial arts, a master in weaponry, a master in basically anything in any language. And there you go. Or God can instill all this stuff into you, and you don't have to worry about anything. Can resurrect the dead. Here we go again with that sound. Can resurrect the dead. God told me this. Basically a couple weeks ago, actually. Yeah, it's like 1 or 2 weeks ago, actually. But basically, I don't know what level this is, and I can't really sit here and say what level. But I've told people, I've already put in my community post that basically I'm number 4. But God basically has told me that I will be able to bring back, resurrect the dead. But I don't know what that means for other people. So which is why I'm saying this stuff. So they'll be able to bring back the dead, depending on what level you're at. Basically, to sum this up and make the resurrecting the dead part short, basically, in terms of the feature, I wouldn't say features, but the powers that Jesus had in the Bible, depending on what ranking you are and what number you are. I don't know if it's everybody or just certain people, but basically you'll have the same abilities as Jesus. You'll be able to basically resurrect the dead, feed multiple people, with a loaf of bread. You'll be able to, those are the main ones. You'll be able to do a lot of stuff. And so shape-shifting, I actually have a video on my second channel where basically this dude that got the Neuralink, he can extend his thumb. Shape-shifting will be a real thing, and in terms of shape-shifting, when you shape-shift, if you see the stuff in cartoons, anime, or whatever the case it is, basically when you take on a person, whether it be a cartoon, fiction, or whatever the case it is, or somebody you saw in another dimension, or who alive or deceased, basically you will take on that person's, I wouldn't say personality, because that's a stretch. But basically you will look and sound exactly like that person, and you will be identical to that person, and you will look like an actual person. Just put that out there. So that, and then that also gets into basically shape-shifting the human body, and how once you basically master shape-shifting into a person, how you, if you think of something, you can shape-shift. Let's say I said something about basically me having one hand is a chainsaw, and the other hand had, like, my other hand basically can manipulate insects and stuff like that. You'll be able to do that within a millisecond. I wouldn't even sit there and say within a millisecond, because I don't know like how fast that is, but basically you'll be able to do all this stuff instantly. So and then you'll also be able to do, like, if you wanted to manipulate fire and ice, like Sub-Zero and Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, which there's a character for that in My Hero Academia. He can manipulate fire and ice. You'll be able to do that off rip. What is that? Skilled in combat, can give, and shape-shifting, manifestation, anything. This isn't for everybody. I don't know how this works. Yeah, it'll be, I don't know if it's with certain members or what, but in terms of manifestation, if you think of something, let's say basically you're in a tight situation and, like, I don't know, like 5 people are ganging up against you, or you're running or something, basically you'll be able to think something into existence and it'll happen. Long story short, yeah, I'm not going to say what I want to say about that. So that, and skilled in combat, that basically means skilled in combat in all areas, whether it be boxing, martial arts. There are, like, I don't know how many different versions of martial arts. There are fake versions of martial arts, but anything you see that is martial arts related, combat related, you'll be skilled in combat. Can give and take powers. Mother of God. But can give and take powers. So the 144,000, God has shown me this. I don't know if he's shown other people or what, and that are part of the 144,000. But God has shown me that even with, whether it be, I'm like number 4. Before I went number 4. I forgot what number I was. But I was number 66. What in the world? But basically, God showed me when I was number 66, and now that basically I will have the ability to give and take powers. So basically, think of, I'm referring to a lot of comic book characters to sum this up, but think of Rogue from the X-Men. She can give powers to people. Well, she can't give powers to people. She can take powers from people by touching them, which God showed me that basically that'll be a thing. I can take someone's powers just by, I gotta do another live stream on this. I can take someone's powers simply just by touching them. And I can take away one of their abilities and not give them back, and I can give them to another person. I can also decide basically who to give an ability to that is deemed worthy of it and whatnot. I remember I had this dream. I got to talk about like my dreams and visions and stuff, but I had this dream. Really wasn't a dream, it was an experience, but I'm going to be using that word often. But it was an experience where basically I was flying, I flew in the air, I was landing on the ground, and I think my finger touched the ground, and there was like 20, 30 people in a room that had superpowers. Just by my finger, not my whole body, but just by my finger touching the surface of the ground, I stole everyone's powers. And they were immediately afraid of me. But they were like all bad guys and stuff. But that's like a whole different story and whatnot, which I gotta talk about in another video. So you can do stuff like that. So whether it be in a room of like 20, 30, 40, 50 something people, you can, doesn't matter if your toe touches the ground, your finger touches the ground, or if you're at a conference, at a job somewhere, you know, there's like people that have powers. You can just take them off rip and not give them back to people. That gets into basically, hold on, that you can also give those powers to people that are just normal people and recruit them into God's army. But that also gets into how powers are stored up in you. So despite the fact that you can give and take powers to people, there are powers that are in you that are stored in your body in case you want to use them. What is it? There's an anime called My Hero Academia, and it's basically the characters All for One and One for All can do the same exact thing. Skilled in leadership. Basically the 144,000 are leaders, and basically they'll be building God's army against basically against the Antichrist. So basically being skilled in leadership, they'll have leadership qualities. God showed me this. God showed me changing my size. I gave Ant-Man as an example, but as another example, in terms of like manipulating your size and turning into a giant, basically the Power Rangers. How the Power Rangers, every time they sit there and they basically defeat a villain, they're able to turn into a giant. You'll be able to do stuff like that, and you'll also be able to fight a giant and whatnot. So, and I'll explain that later. That's something I already talked about. In terms of can breathe underwater for long periods of time. Basically think of, I was about to say Mermaid Man. What? That's a SpongeBob thing. But in terms of can breathe underwater for long periods of time, basically think of Aquaman basically being superhuman while being human at the same time, if that makes a lick of sense. And you'll be able to basically, since there are creatures under the ocean, demons and stuff under the ocean from the Nephilim, you'll be able to go toe to toe with them. And basically, God has shown me this: if you fight like a mermaid, a siren, or whatever the case is, Leviathan, a cryptid, or something, whatever's under the ocean, or even if it's a weapon under the ocean, you'll basically be able to breathe under the water for long periods of time. And you'll basically be able to, if you're underwater, be able to fight underwater. And you'll basically be able to freeze the water, that's actually a thing that happened to me and whatnot. You'll be able to freeze the water or freeze aspects of the water, whatever part of the water you're in. And yeah, that's pretty much it. What is it? I talked about freezing the water to control the 4 elements. Yeah, basically that's self-explanatory, being able to control the 4 elements like Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you've never watched it, and you can just really pretty much look up a clip. There's the original cartoon with Aang, the Avatar: The Last Airbender, how there's the 4 elements, and then in Korra: The Last Airbender, they emphasize how the 4 elements can be expanded upon. Like if there's fire, there can be like lightning, lava. If there's water, you can manipulate somebody's body. That's called blood bending. If it's earth, you can basically manipulate steel. I think it was just steel. You can manipulate like iron and steel. And then if it's air bending, I don't think they really emphasized. If it's air bending, I don't think they emphasized on that. But yeah, if you can manipulate fire, you can also manipulate lava. So there's that. God showed me that I'll have the ability to control snakes. I would assume tigers, because it goes back to that Black Tiger video I had. Being confronted by false prophets. But basically, yeah, being able to control animals, that's self-explanatory. Can control the weather. The prophets in the Bible, I wouldn't say, hold on. No, I take that back, because I can't remember at the moment. I got total brain fog. but can control the weather in terms of basically if you wanted to. Well, yeah, that is an example. I forgot what prophet it was. I don't know if it was Elijah or Elijah, but basically he was able to make fire rain down from the sky. You'll basically be able to do stuff like that. I'm assuming, because I mean this stuff is also in the Bible, so I mean, yeah, this stuff is also in the Bible, so you should be able to do this stuff. So that can absorb powers and give them to people. I already talked about that. Already talked about that. And then I think I already talked about the fact that, I'll come back to that. Can basically do Dragon Ball Z like features. In Dragon Ball Z, they can basically run fast, fly fast, within milliseconds. They basically can almost blow up a whole entire city. I actually do want to talk about this. Because even though an angel came and told me, well, recently when I came to my uncle's house, that, what did they say? Brain fog. But basically they said that when you use your powers in your dreams, you're basically using them how you would use them in real life. A long time ago when I was staying at my house, I just had a dream where basically I shot a Kamehameha wave, like a massive one. And it was in the city, and I was sweating. And then I also woke up sweating because I was actually doing that in almost like in real life, like literally, and stuff like that. That will be a thing. And in terms of that, God has also shown me that stuff like that will also be a possibility because water serpents. I don't know if water serpents are a thing. Giant crocodiles that were alive when the Nephilim were around. Which is a short on my video. That's a thing. So basically, you'll be able to kill and blow up these giants and demons. And then also there's also stuff with zombies, zombies and other stuff like hybrid creatures and whatnot. So there you go. Can absorb colors. I can't really explain that. I just got that when I was dreaming one day. But can stop missiles. Basically sent with the whole 144,000. Even though I'm one of them, with the whole 144,000 thing. I don't know if everybody will be able to do this or what, but basically it's going to get to a point where the government is going to try and kill everybody. Well, they are trying to kill everybody in multiple countries. But the point is that when this thing pops off, the whole 144,000 thing pops off, they're going to deem them as terrorists. They're either going to deem them as terrorists, threats to society, or it's going to basically be a case in which basically it's like the X-Men, in which you should really pay attention to the X-Men, because I didn't know where to incorporate this, because when all of this pops off, the government, since everything, let me backtrack for a second, then get back to the main point. Everything in fiction at this point is real. So if you ever watched the X-Men cartoon, it's in the Gifted, and it's in the X-Men animated series, and it's in, I think, in some of the X-Men movies, and it's also in Deadpool too. They basically have it to where if they know this is going to happen, but they also know that 144,000, well, they can't really touch 144,000, but normal people that get powers, they're going to basically, oh God, my back is itching. They're basically going to have these collars that can take away people's powers, which I have no idea how they're going to sit there and introduce that. But you should also be asking, if you do decide to watch this stuff or watch Deadpool 2, why would you put that in the movie? Because in Deadpool 2, he basically can't regenerate. He can't do anything. He has no powers. So they're going to be doing that with people that have powers, putting collars on people and labeling them and putting them in concentration camps. Literally. And just because they can't touch the 144,000 doesn't mean they'll try and make an attempt, because we're not dealing with people, we're dealing with demons and people that worship demons. And so there you go. And that'll be the case for people, kids, adults, teenagers, and whatnot. If they have them, they'll try and strip them away. What you should really be asking, that's not human technology, that's demonic technology. So there you go. Yeah, that was it. What else is there? I said that. And in terms of being skilled in combat, like martial arts, and can go toe to toe with the Antichrist and damage him should he try and kidnap them. basically God has been showing me, even when I was staying at my old house, that basically the Antichrist, who we all know is Obama, basically he's going to make an attempt on me and other people. He was showing me because it's going to get to a point where basically when this pops off, the Antichrist is going to try and come for me. And when he comes for me, he'll try and hold me hostage, store me somewhere. But basically, I'll be able to escape because I have the ability to fly, have super strength and everything, and I can also go toe to toe with him. And I have a dream that can back this up. Basically, what was it? I remember I had a dream where basically I was like, it wasn't a sale, but I was held up in a building somewhere, and I was sitting down and I wanted to get out, and I was saying, let me out, let me out. I was pissed and everything, and I was putting cracks in the wall. And pretty much once I basically bursted through the wall like Superman, I ended up having to fight Obama. And Obama had super strength, could fly. He had super strength and he could fly. He had like durability and stuff. And basically God sat there and showed me that he's going to make an attempt on your life. But in that dream, I was able, after like I injured him and beat him up real bad and he was on the ground, God told me telepathically, which that'll also probably be a thing, telekinesis and telepathy, that basically to fly away, because you can't kill him, you can't beat him, only Jesus can. So there you go. And I've also had it, what was like another dream where it was like weird. I was in front of like my old house when I was a kid, but basically it was me and Obama. We were squaring off with each other and we were fighting each other, and we were both drenched in sweat. We had sweat all over our shirts. There was pouring, and I fought him toe to toe, went toe to toe with him. And when I woke up from my dream, which is why I've been saying I've been going to be using the word experience, because that was it was a dream, but it felt like an experience. I woke up sweating in real life. So that was something that God is telling me that this is actually going to happen in real time. So wanted to sit here and say that. What else is there? Hold on, let me go through this paper. What I have? Hold on. Mother of God. Hold on real quick. Let me see if I have. Okay, I got like 30% of my battery. And then, like how I sat here and I said how basically anything you see, whether it be in a cartoon, an anime, whatever the case it is that you will want to do, if you're 144,000, you'll basically be able to do it in real time. So I like Superman. God told me multiple times actually that I'll have heat vision. I'll basically be able to incinerate somebody with heat vision. And then there's also what Homelander has that in The Boys, the ability to control nature. The ability to control nature. Had this dream a while ago when I was staying in my house. It felt like more like a rapture dream. And I'm almost done with this, and I got to explain one more thing on this page. But it felt like a rapture dream, but I was basically in the air, flying up in the sky towards the air, and at the bottom below me there is darkness basically trying to pull me in. And basically what I was aiming for, it was a lady in a white dress. It was a lady in a white dress. Yeah, literally, it was a woman in a white dress going up into the sky, and I was trying to hold on to her dress and pull her dress, and there's like a bunch of other people which I couldn't really identify them. I just saw myself, and I was focused on myself because I wasn't trying to get stuck in the darkness that was coming at me up from the ground, if that makes a lick of sense. But that happened, and I made it, and it represents the bride, the church, and whatnot. And so I made it. I caught the lady's dress, and I made it, and then I saw the face of God, and God told me that since you made it, I'm going to give you another skill set, because God gradually, with all the, I gotta explain all this stuff in another video sometime or whatever, but basically God is telling me that I forgot what skill set I had when I was at my house. That God told me about, but the skill set, he told me that you will be able to control poison, and you'll be able to control nature. And I think it was something else, but I totally forgot. But poison, I can't really even think of a character that controls poison, actually. That's one thing that God told me, and then in my dream, before it ended, God sat there and he told me that I'm proud of you, and he smiled. And he gave me like 2-3 extra abilities. I can't really think of the third one, if there was a third one, because I know I talked to somebody on the phone about this. But there you go. Wanted to talk about the ability to control nature. In terms of controlling nature, basically, what's a superhero character's name I could think about that can control nature? Poison Ivy is one of them from DC Comics. That's the only character I really can think of that can control nature. And then there's Swamp Thing from DC Comics. Well, basically, you can look up this stuff like people that can control nature. I'll put links on my community post when I get time. But it was this dream I had, actually, I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago, where I had this dream, this experience, basically. It was this serial killer family. They were sort of like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre family. It was an old woman, an old man, and there was this big fat dude. And they killed people. And to the point where basically it was like a lot of stuff was going on in the dream, but they killed people. And there was a book of how many people that they killed. They killed children. They killed children. And I mean children, they killed like babies. They killed babies, and they killed children, and they killed adults. They didn't kill teenagers. And I think they killed up to like 20, 30, maybe like 40 people. And basically in that dream, because I'm going everywhere, because I'm backing this up with what I'm saying. Basically in that dream, what was it? Basically in that dream, I'm like face to face with this dude, this like big fat hillbilly dude or whatever he looked like. And basically my hand turned into a gun. Basically, I got a my hand turned into a gun from this character I like from Cyborg 009, because I always thought it was cool and everything how his hand is a machine gun. I literally stuck my hand in this dude's stomach, and I literally shot it. I shot my hand, but that didn't work. And so since that didn't work, basically I literally, this sounds crazy, but there's a comic book character for this, and God showed me, this is another thing that God showed me. I literally ripped off my leg, grew a new one, and I started beating him with my leg, if that makes sense. So I basically had my leg in my hand that I ripped off my leg, and then I grew a new one, if that makes a lick of sense. And I started beating him with it. And then it basically got to the point where God told me in my dream, telepathically, that you don't have time to sit here and be creative. You literally have to sit here and you have to get rid of them. So I forgot what happened. I forgot what happened in between that time period, but that happened, and then lo and behold, I basically was able to bring basically those 20, 30, 40 something people back to life. But God also sat there and told me, just because you can resurrect people from the dead, that doesn't mean that not everybody is in heaven. Basically, that's what God wanted to tell me. Not everybody is in heaven. So if you can read in between the lines with that, the only people you can really bring back to life, that when it comes to resurrecting the dead, are people that are from heaven, basically. And so in that dream, those people, basically the souls of those people, it was weird how it happened, but the souls of those people came back to life, and they killed those people. And then while also at the same time, because I was flying off, I basically, since I wanted to get rid of them, the roots from the ground, from nature, literally from the ground, basically devoured those people, and they ended up dying. They basically went into the center of the earth, and they ended up dying. That's what I'm talking about. The ability to control nature and like resurrecting the dead and stuff. And that, and then what else happened? Mother of God. And then that happened, I flew off, and then something else happened in my dream. But basically, I have the ability to, like, I talk about manifestation, thinking of stuff that in a situation, manifestation, basically thinking of anything and it manifests in real life. Basically, I shot out these gummy worms. Literally, I'm not even making this up. I shot out these gummy worms like they were like poison darts, and they basically turned into creatures, and they ended up killing people. Which either that or something happened. I forgot. It's like real vague, and my dream, like, it stopped at a certain point. But there you go. So also, that's another thing I forgot to leave out. You can also turn people into candy. Like Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z, which I've actually done that actually a couple of times in my dreams, because I've actually I gotta talk about this in like different lives, but basically the way things are going, and with God turning things up and dimensions merging and all this other stuff, it's getting to the point now where basically if I get attacked in my dream, I have people never didn't know where to incorporate this, but basically every time, no one is going to touch me while I'm awake, but when I'm asleep, basically the kingdom of darkness makes an attempt on my life. So basically within the past month, I guess I've killed like 5 demons in my sleep. One of them tried raping me. I told them, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, and basically they exploded. They like incinerated, they exploded. There's that hillbilly dream, which I have no idea where that came from. It was that, and then when I was staying at my house, basically, I was like in a cartoon dimension, and these demons randomly popped up out of nowhere, and I literally froze them and turned them into candy, like Majin Buu, but they were like crystal-like, and they were like trapped in candy and whatnot, and I killed them, literally. So that, the ability to control drawings, what's the best way I can, this is where I get like into like my dreams and stuff. Long story short, basically the ability to control drawings. I talked about, there's this character named Sai, S-A-I, from Naruto. He can like draw stuff and it can come to life. But God gave me a dream when I was staying at my house before I moved out. Basically, hold on real quick. Excuse me. How basically when I was staying in my house, God showed me that it was something. It was something that was going on. I was sitting down at a desk. I was drawing and everything, and then my skin was peeling like snake skin, but in a non-demonic way. And that's basically a metaphor and a reference to basically your body is changing, and God is about to do something in your life. So that, time passes or whatever the case it is, and God, because I can't draw to save my life. This gets into like my relationship with God, how I've always wanted to draw and stuff. But basically, in that dream, I was drawing Samurai Jack, and literally Samurai Jack came to life, but I drew Samurai Jack with like a lightsaber and everything, and I drew him, and I basically have the ability to make him come alive out of my notebook that I was drawing, and he was talking to me and everything. I was teaching him how to speak English and all this other stuff within seconds. It's like I put it in his brain that how he could do this stuff in real life. And dream after that, here we go again with that sound. But then my dream gets to the point where basically I'm like drawing and stuff, where God, after I did all that, God showed me that, because I know angels were in my dream. God basically showed me that you'll be, once God gives me the ability to draw randomly out of nowhere, when I decide to randomly out of nowhere, which it'll happen anytime. I can draw anything. Don't have to look at a sketchbook, don't have to look at a reference or anything. And basically got to the point where he sat there and told me that me giving you the ability to draw, which it'll be for other people in 144,000 if they don't know how to draw, if there's an interest that they have, basically you'll be able to draw like it's nothing. And you'll also be able to make money off of it too. So yeah, and the drawings I was able to do, I went from drawing something simple as like Samurai Jack to basically I was able to draw something as detailed as a Gundam. And if you don't know what Gundam is, Gundam, basically look up pictures of like drawing a Gundam and like that type of field of like drawing mechanical like robots and stuff. It's real complex, but the amount of time it took for me to sit there and draw it in my dream, it was within seconds. I would say less than 5 minutes. And that was it. And I was basically charging people for money and stuff, and making money off of it. But there you go. So stuff like that. What is it? Ability to connect with alternate versions of themselves. Hold on real quick. Mother of God. Ability to connect with alternate versions of themselves. Basically, long story short, to basically, how can I explain this? What the heck? That's disgusting. What's the best way to sit here and explain this? Basically, when God gives the 144,000 powers, there are versions of them. This gets into the whole multiverse thing, which is where my brain goes like everywhere. I've talked about this before in either my first or my second video of basically how that, not how that works, but basically meeting different versions of myself. There are different versions of me that are old, extremely old. There's versions of me that are young, in high school, all this other stuff. But basically, you'll have the ability to meet these people. I don't know how it works with merging with some of these people, but the merging thing pushed to the side. You'll have the ability to basically connect with alternate versions of yourself. To the point where basically, since you're both the same person, let's say, I talked about this before in my first or my second video live stream, which basically talked about that version of me basically that was I saved, that was a celebrity. That time when I sat there and I thought and I asked God, is there a version of me that can basically skate? And I thought of him and I could skate. Stuff like that. So it's weird. It's something that you would have to, the best reference, if you want to actually know more about that, you literally are going to have to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. And you can watch that movie on YouTube. You can watch that if you want to go the internet way, the freeway. Because I would never recommend you do such a thing. You can watch it that way, and you can also, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. And basically, you just have to watch the movie, because it gets to a point where the lady, she thinks of, there's a version of her that can do karate, and basically she thinks of a version of herself that can do karate, and she can do karate. And so that's how it'll go. Now, obviously, I don't know how that works. Well, it's not going to work the same way with an evil version of yourself, because that's not how it works. But if it's like a good version of yourself, if you lack in a certain area, you'll basically be able to tap into that person and basically do what they can do, if that makes a lick of sense. And that's me not sounding new age or anything. That's me coming out and saying it. So that, and then also too, it's also going to get to a point, since I've talked about how our dimensions are merging. Basically, we're going to be meeting ourselves, and I mean like legit meeting ourselves. And so I don't know how it's going to work. I gotta talk about this in another video, but recently I met like almost 10 versions of myself, and I was like number 10. I was one of almost the 10 versions of myself, and I also met the dude that basically is a celebrity, which, he's not in jail or anything, and they didn't clone the dude, but you'll be meeting versions of yourself. And since God did that for a purpose, but when their world is ending, I can't really say this, but this is just me figuring things out. But basically, when their world is ending and our world is ending, I'm assuming they'll merge together, and we'll basically meet those people. And how it is in Spider-Man No Way Home, I think it was like the third movie with Tom Holland, how he was fighting with two different versions of himself, like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. It'll be the same thing. So, yeah, I've seen that, and I've also seen it in a vision, in an open vision or in a dream, where basically God showed me I was fighting with a version of myself that stays in the medieval period. He's like a barbarian or something. He's like real tall and buff, like Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was at his prime buff. It was him, me, and it was like 3 other different versions of myself. And we were fighting together, and we were basically fighting at the end of the world. But I just saw 5 of us. So I don't know how that's going to work out and whatnot. So that's what I mean about that. Can do Spider-Man feats like web sling. I've talked to multiple people where they've told me they've had God has shown them dreams and visions where basically they have like Spider-Man abilities. They can web sling. They can mainly it's web slinging, because like the coolest thing about Spider-Man is web slinging, which that's not a lie. Spider-Man is also real in the cartoon world. Fun fact. God has his own version of Spider-Man, because God likes this stuff. But and so that and that's really it. I mean, the whole web slinging thing, that's it. And then Spider-Man has supernatural strength. So, but mainly people have told me that they basically will have the ability to like web sling and stuff like Spider-Man, the ability to explode themselves and turn it. Okay, yeah. Anyway, hold on real quick. The ability to explode themselves. The mother of God. The ability to explode themselves. I already explained that in The Boys, but that actually happened to me a couple. Well, we moved out of my house when I was staying back in my house. I've been talking about not. I don't know if it was this month or last month. It was last month. When I was staying in my house, I got attacked in my sleep. But when I got attacked in my sleep, like literally, there was a demon trying to openly kill me, and this was real. And God was there and everything. God didn't do anything. He was present because I had a feeling that God was there. But basically, that whole machine gun hand that I talk about from Cyborg 009, I literally blew a demon away, shot and killed the demon, and then that thing, that guy that can Soldier Boy from The Boys, where he can like explode himself. I did that. And the demon basically, it was like I was inside the demon's stomach or something, and basically I kept like his stomach kept getting smaller and smaller to the point where basically he was suffocating me, and God was watching. I had a feeling that God was watching, and God told me that you know what to do. You know what to do because God basically has stored this stuff in me. It's not just hasn't been activated yet. And basically I exploded myself, and literally the demon ended up dying. I literally killed the demon that tried to kill me in my sleep. I can't really sit here and give you proof because I don't know how I can give you give you proof, but I mean that happened and it was real. And you can call me crazy or whatever the case it is, but I mean that what for like this month alone, we're in the third month. I mean, I've seen like 5 portals, and last year I had a live stream talking about this stuff where basically our dimensions are merging, all this other stuff. There's another portal that opened up right where CERN is at in Switzerland, and it's in the sky. So I mean, there you go. That what else is there? And also, that's another thing too. I want to talk about that whole exploding thing. If that's like with anybody else in 144,000, that's a real dangerous ability that can literally kill thousands, millions, and multiple people. They show you that in The Boys, and there's also a scene in Akira the anime where basically I guess like some nuclear explosion happens. It can kill people basically. But it was that. And also, it's weird explaining this, but when you explode yourself, you're not going to kill yourself off rip. That's why I say you have to. Why I gotta post the links and stuff in my community posts when I get time or whatever, because that stuff is time consuming. But when Soldier Boy explodes himself, he doesn't kill himself either. Like he explodes, and everything around him just basically dies. Miles, it's also the same thing in Miles Morales in the Spider-Man game that came out, where basically he explodes himself, but he's like electricity. He harms people around him that he deems are a threat. So, if that makes a lick of sense. So if I explode myself and I'm around like 144,000 people, or people in general, innocent people, I can explode myself, but my ability, it'll only damage the people that I want to hurt, if that makes sense. So if there's like 5 people around me that I'm protecting, and there's like 544,000 people or whatever, it's not going to touch them. It's not going to inflict damage on them because I don't want it to. So if that makes sense, it's something you have to gotta go to God about. What else was there? And then that cyborg I talk about from the anime, I like, he has the ability to shoot a rocket out of his leg, which I thought was completely awesome. And God reassured me and told me in my dream, basically that you'll basically be able to do whatever you want because you can do the same thing. I had a dream basically where, I don't know, I was being like bullied or something in my dream, and I was able to shoot a rocket out of my hand, which that's out there. But that's not. I mean, the world is ending, so that's not really a stretch. And then also shooting a rocket out of my leg is also the same thing. So what was it? Can be invisible. Basically, yeah, you can cloak yourself and be invisible. What was it? Can open portals and can walk through portals. I had a dream about that recently. It was like weird, but basically, I saw myself. I was walking randomly, and was just walking. I didn't. I was walking randomly, and I walked into like another dimension, went somewhere else, and then basically, that's basically what the whole teleportation thing is. Basically, I don't know how you see in movies, entertainment, whatever the case is, a person is walking, then basically they're somewhere else. That's how it works. Or there's the character, I think it's number 5 from the Umbrella Academy. He walks and he teleports and like it's nothing, and there you go. And you end up somewhere else. And so in terms of like can open portals and walk through portals, there's a character on The Gifted. I'm actually glad because I've been wanting to watch this. There's a character on The Gifted who can basically open up portals, and that's what I'm talking about. Long story short, I can't really think of another character, but basically, let's say like if you and somebody else wants to sit there and go somewhere, basically you can just open up a portal by snapping your fingers, and that's it, without even having any effort or anything. Can control time and basically defy laws of physics. It's in an old video of mine where I talked about how I was fighting a dinosaur, and basically I put like a dome around where we were at. I was fighting a T-Rex, and basically I had the ability to like grow claws from my hand. I could do Spider-Man. I had Spider-Man reflexes. I could do like Spider-Man web slinging, and then I think I had like had claws that, and I think that was it. And then I killed the dinosaur, which that's also going to be a thing. So God told me that a long time ago, and you'll have the ability to control time and whatnot to an extent. So that, in terms of defy laws of physics, people aren't going to be able. Here we go again with that sound. People aren't going to be able to explain any of this. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. I talked about control poison and can fight in their dreams, basically. And even with the whole 144,000 stuff, if you can fight physically, and because it's getting to that point, but basically when it does get to that point, basically you'll be a threat, basically in the spiritual and in the physical. So basically, I don't know how it's going to work out with the whole 144,000 thing when we all get our powers and stuff, or certain people. But basically, I'm gonna say it as if we already actually have them. If you can defend yourself physically with your powers, that means when you go to sleep, your powers aren't just a thing that you can use in the real world. You can also use them in the dream world. There we go. Nightmare on Elm Street educated me on that with the Dream Warriors. Basically, your dream power, you'll be able to use that how you would in the dream world and in real life. So there you go. And so basically, nothing can touch you. The only thing that can touch you at that point is God. So that, and probably like other people that, actually nothing. I'm not going to say other people on your left, like no. So that. And in terms of that, if somebody tries to sit there and make an attempt on your life while you're sleeping, because that's when like spirits and stuff enter people's dreams and talk to people or whatever, basically, I'm assuming you can kill them, because that's been actually happening to me. I actually am going to say that. I'm assuming that you can kill them, because that's been happening a lot with me recently and whatnot. And so God knows that it's getting to a point where he's done. His mercy is running out, and also he wants his children to be able to defend themselves. Yeah, to defend themselves. I was going to say like without calling upon his name, like no. Anyway, but there you go. In terms of fighting in your dreams, how you would fight in real life. So, and that's also an answer for some of you people who've been saying that, because somebody commented on one of my videos a long time ago about how they had basically they knew how to use their powers and stuff from basically when they were dreaming. So there you go. What else is there? Can stop bullets with their fingers. I already talked about that. I already talked about that whole detaching your limbs and beating you with it. That's actually I'm really a nerd, but there's actually a character. It's this character is called. You can look up this character. I think his name is Arm, A-R-M, Fall Off Boy, and look it up. He's like a dude. It's like a goofy, wacky character that never really made anything. It's like one of those goofy comic book characters that basically could detach their limbs and beat you with it, but he couldn't regrow them. Like it was like the wackiest and dumbest power of all time. But stuff like that. I already talked about that. The pin and stare thing. I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually a thing, because I've actually had that in my dreams. That Ghost Rider pin and stare that he had in Ghost Rider, where basically he looks people in the eyes and he can send them to hell. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the thing, because everything that God is showing me, this whole list has actually came from God. So, wouldn't be surprised if that's the thing. And also for people that sit here and think that the whole 144,000 are just like nice people, they're basically not only God's super soldiers, but they're also God's executioners. So they are the judge, jury, and executioner when they deem a decision is right. And that includes fighting yourself, other family members, whatever the case it is, and you are basically one of God's judges. So from their world to another, that's self-explanatory. That's I think I already explained all that. And then also to another thing I want to talk about is that everybody will have like a different ability and stuff. And this one chick that somebody sent me, she had the ability to turn. She said something about basically how God gave her the ability to turn people into a chimera, Chimera. It's like a fictional creature that's like two creatures at once. But basically, God told her she had the ability to. She turned this man to like half horse, half man. It wasn't a centaur. Is that a centaur? It wasn't a centaur, but his body was literally like a horse, and his head was like a horse, but the rest of his body was human. Which that's pretty messed up. But there you go. And then what else do I want to sit here and talk about? This is what else is there? I want to talk about something else. Hold on 1 second. Mother of God. Hold on, I'm looking through this right now. Yeah, and in terms of also the list, God told me prophetically in a dream that basically when this whole thing pops off and when people start getting powers, like how they've been showing a little bit too many TV shows about people getting powers randomly, or they've been adapting them from books or whatever, which I'll talk about that in a community post later and post a link to that. But basically, which is insane, because me and my homie, today's my birthday. Me and my homie, we went to the movies and we saw 65. And basically, one of the previews was basically about how all the women in the world, I wouldn't say all the women in the world, but there are certain women in the world that start developing electricity powers. And obviously, with that, you can understand where that is going. And so they started basically deeming these people as weapons. They were threats because they were killing people on the streets and all this other stuff, taking to law into their own hands. And also they were doing experiments with them. Like, I guess they weren't taking blood samples. They were doing something, but they were deeming them as criminals and threats. And this is a non-DC Marvel comic book movie. This is basically based off of a book, which I plan on reading. And so, yeah. They all had like the abilities to control electricity, which that's also an ability. So that, but then going back to my dream that God showed me a long time ago that when this thing pops off, there's a reason why they want to come out with the whole digital ID thing, the digital ID thing. It's not because they want to sit here and monitoring you and all that other crap. It's for the fact that the devil knows that this is going to happen. And when it happens, he needs to have people rung up in a system where you can know their exact face, their name, who they are, how old they are, their race, all that other stuff, and they need it in a digital database. So anywhere they go, they are a wanted criminal. It's like being in a futuristic dystopia. That's the whole purpose of it. And God showed me that people with powers are going to be on a list, and they're going to hunt them. And they're going to hunt them down like nonstop. Doesn't matter if it's a baby. Doesn't matter if it's a 15-year-old, a 60-year-old. It doesn't matter who you are. They're going to hunt you down, and they're going to put you in a concentration camp. And that's the reason why either a concentration camp, or they're going to put you in a camp somewhere, or they're going to try and weaponize you. If they can't do that, they are literally. This gets real dark. If you thought these people eating people was something, it's going to be even more delicious to them when you have powers, because you are defenseless. 144,000 excluded. Normal people, I'm talking about. That's going to make you the more delicious, because now they're stealing your powers by eating you, which that's also a thing in this TV show called Heroes, which I think is like the first or second season, where I forgot the guy's name, but he goes around killing superheroes, eating their brain, all this other stuff, and he steals their powers. What makes you think that they're not going to do that in real time? So there you go. And in terms of the Men in Black list, yeah, literally. And I'm already on their list. God already told me I'm on their list, but they can't touch me right now. And they probably won't. They're going to make an attempt to touch me, but they're not going to be able to touch me. So, that goes for the 144,000, and that goes for anybody with powers. So, yeah. And I honestly really think, yeah. And I think that pretty much is it. And that's actually it for today. And in terms of the whole 144,000 powers, since nobody's really done this fully, because this is like almost like 2 pages, I'll suggest that if you want to know a logist or feel of how all this stuff is going to work out, or the future where we're headed, and what it's going to be like, mother of God, I gotta post a lot in my community posts. There's this TV show, an anime. I'm not putting people on anime, but there's this anime. It's called My Hero Academia, and it's a society where basically there are normal people and there are people who have kids that have powers, and it's a superhero-run society, and it's something you should look up, and whatnot. And I would say watch a couple episodes, or like get the gist of it, like watch a couple clips on YouTube or something, because that basically shows where we're headed, along with the X-Men, along with the DC stuff and whatnot, where basically there'll be people that have powers and there'll be people that don't have powers. And then also there's going to be evil people with powers and whatnot. So, yeah, that's really pretty much it. What else is there that I got to sit here and say? Anything that I didn't mention, pretty much can be explained in just about any. I honestly can't say this. It can be summed up in pretty much anything that is a cartoon or an anime, or I would say a TV show or a movie, but it's not going to do any justice to it. But it can basically be summed up in those 4 things. And then there's also books for it, which is why I also encourage you to watch the movie. Mother of God, I gotta read. I posted it. It was about these kids with powers and whatnot. I think it's called The Darkest Times or something. I don't know, whatever it's called. But it's with a black chick. She's like the lead character. There you go. And they tell you in that show, and they round them up and everything. They'll put them in color. They'll colorize them, put them in different T-shirts, and they'll decide which ones they want to kill off. And the most dangerous ability, the Antichrist will have it. Jesus will have it. I'm assuming 104,000 people will have it, and people on the devil side. Telepathy. I have all those abilities that I just sat here and told you. All that stuff is good, but if you don't have telepathy, all that crap means nothing. Literally, it means nothing, because I forgot what it was. What that movie was called. But the chick can literally sit there and control people's minds. And once you basically can control somebody's mind, you can invade their mind. I can't really think of an anime or anything, but basically you can mind control somebody to sit there and do what you want. They can say what you want, do what you want, can control their actions and everything. Telepathy. And that's the gift that the Antichrist will have. And that's another thing that Jesus has. So there you go, telepathy. And that's how God will be able to communicate with his people. And if you have the Holy Spirit, you know what I mean. Telepathy is a thing. So that, what else is there? And there's probably like a bunch of other stuff that I'm probably not getting to. But this is all the stuff that basically God has given me. So, I mean, all the stuff that God has told me, God is going to give me and whatnot when things pop off. And yeah. And yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. And that's pretty much the end of this live. I got to rewatch this and talk about something else. Because I totally forgot. I got like brain fog. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And, you know, I hope you have a blessed day. You got something out of this. You share this with people. I would highly suggest you share this with people. You also share the other 2 videos that I have that are about an hour long with other people on the truth about what's really going to happen. Because we are going to be meeting ourselves. We're going to be going to different dimensions and whatnot. And that's pretty much it. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. And hope you guys have a blessed day and everything. And yeah.